WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Wednesday morning, and hope you're doing right. You know, all this talk about the government shutdown, you say, boy, I'm glad I don't work for the government. That's scary. I'm glad I work for a private employer. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean you're safe. Sometimes the government can get their hands even in on the private sector. Larry Katzen has written a book, and it's a different book than I would have expected, actually, based on what I knew in advance. He is an entrepreneur, which is a very important thing, by the way, if you want to be free of the government. He's a businessman. I guess that goes hand in hand. He worked at Arthur Andersen, formerly one of the big five accounting firms among the PricewaterhouseCoopers, for 35 years, serving clients from all over the world, and his book is called "And You Thought Accountants Were Boring: My Life Inside Arthur Andersen." It's his memoir that details the U.S. government's unjust persecution of a company known for maintaining the highest standards. Larry Katzen, good to have you on the air with us today.
Nice to be here.
Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay, well, thank you for getting up a bit early to be with us today. You know, we were having fun with your title, wondering if we should stress the word accountants or the word boring.
Yeah.
So what happened? For those who don't know, and I guess I would be among them, what happened, and how did the government mess up the company that they shouldn't have been messed up, Arthur Andersen?
Well, Larry, if I asked you or anybody else about what happened to Arthur Andersen at the end, they would probably say, well, they performed an audit in less than a quality fashion and therefore got taken in on the Enron case. But that is the furthest thing from the truth. The fact remains that the government subpoenaed millions of records with respect to the Enron case, including our audit, and to this day they have not found one thing wrong with our audit. There's not been one defect known. What the government accused us of was destroying work papers, which they said we did to defraud the government and to work with Enron to defraud the government. But as anyone in the accounting profession will tell you, it is a company policy to destroy all drafts and to-do points and things that are irrelevant to support the audit. And we shredded those documents, and if we were doing it in a deceiving way, we certainly didn't succeed because we destroyed these documents right in the middle of the accounting department at Enron. There was nothing devious about it at all.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's what they tried to indict us on, and were successful until the Supreme Court overruled them on a 9-0 decision.
Did they have a bone to pick? What was their reason for doing that? Were they simply incompetent?
Well, I wouldn't say they were incompetent. I think they probably did know what they were doing. This indictment was led by Michael Chertoff, who after this case got promoted to become head of Homeland Security.
So this was a way for him to climb the ladder. You were a pawn in a way, even a big pawn, I guess.
Well, some would say that because they're really the only result of indicting Arthur Andersen was that 85,000 people lost their job.
So no culpability at all on Andersen's part?
Well, if you define culpability as meaning we performed a poor audit, I say no.
Yeah.
But if you define culpability of us being associated with an unethical client, then I would say yes.
Oh, wow. And did anybody recover from this, or did you all go your separate ways? And is that how you became an entrepreneur? What was the aftermath?
Well, all 85,000 people lost their jobs, so they had to be placed someplace else. And at that time, no accounting firm wanted to merge with Arthur Andersen because of the potential legal liability. So each office had to sell its practice individually. And in my case, I ran the central region, in which half the offices went to one firm and half the offices went to another firm.
You know what's sad about this? If the government messes up the government, in other words, all of the, right now, the furloughed people who work for the government, they're probably going to get back pay and everything's going to be made good. Not that it's easy, not that it's nice, but it probably will. But when they mess with the private sector, you're done. You're on your own. Mm-hmm. You lost all of your pensions, didn't you?
We lost all our retirement pay and our capital and our fringe benefits. The capital is the money that you put into the firm, and each year a portion of your profits would be put into the firm to help run the firm. And that capital, which was quite sizable, all the partners lost that capital as well as their retirement benefits.
One of the things about Arthur Andersen Company was that they were truly family-oriented. I mean, we learned from your book that when your wife gave birth to your quadruplets, that there was even a timeline from their birth as they were growing up into your brochures and all of your press material about your family life.
Yes, Robin, we were one family, and everybody grew up in the same culture, and we supported each other, and that culture made it one of the largest firms and one of the most successful firms ever.
How are the children doing now?
Well, the children now are 40 years old. In fact, we started celebrating their 40th birthday. I took one of my sons to Dallas last weekend. We watched the Redskin Cowboy game. That was his 40th birthday present.
And you called them the Big Four, didn't you?
In the beginning, they were the Little Four.
The Little Four, yeah. So I'm guessing writing the book was a way for you to almost like just snap back. I mean, it's like that poster of the little mouse giving the finger to the eagle. I mean, but did you want to do that for 12 years, and did you hold off because you were afraid of repercussions, or why the long delay in writing the book?
Well, I started writing it 10 years ago, and what I did was I kept all my calendars for 35 years with Arthur Andersen, so I knew where I was and what I did each of those days, and that helped refresh my memory.
Good for you.
The book was difficult to write, particularly at the end, where I had to get into to the details of the Andersen and Andersen Consulting breakup, which formed Accenture, as well as the Enron story. It was tough to go back and recreate that, but I couldn't come out with it earlier because we had a lot of litigation outstanding, and until that litigation was done, I couldn't come out with this book.
And did you, even now, do you have any worries that there'll be somebody biting back at you?
No, everything is behind us with respect to litigation, so I don't expect that to be a risk.
A part of your job was to travel a lot, and you met with executives from Chrysler and Coca-Cola and all the biggies, and it was kind of amusing to find that deals truly are made on the golf course.
Well, in any professional services firm, the key is relationships, because the more trust you have with each other, the more open they are with you. And it's difficult to perform an audit without having that close relationship. In today's environment, the government discourages you to have those kinds of relationships. They don't like you to even have dinner or lunch with a client. They frown upon that. But I found, and when I was in the profession, that made me a better auditor, and I was able to understand the client and know where they're coming from and be able to work with them more effectively.
You know, we had a sort of a mini Enron in Ocala. It was Taylor Whitaker.
Taylor Bean and Whitaker.
Taylor Bean and Whitaker, yeah. And I don't know if you're familiar with that story, but a lot of those people who suddenly had the rug pulled out from under them, a lot of them became entrepreneurs, and I hope they're doing well. I don't know whatever became of all of them, but I know some of them started their own little businesses, even cleaning business, just cleaning homes, and would come in here and we'd help them try to get the word out about what they were doing. What did you do when this all came down? Well,
I immediately tried to refresh my mind. I was actually in process of retiring from the firm. I put in for my retirement in November of 2001.
Oh, my goodness.
And it was supposed to be effective in February 2002, and Enron broke out in December 2001. And in 90 days, the firm was gone. The government took down the largest accounting firm in the world in just 90 days. So even though I was retired, I felt obligated to stay on and continue to unwind the firm and make sure all our people were placed, even though I wasn't going to get paid during that time frame. But I just thought it was the right thing to do.
How scary is that?
When I got done with that, it was a very emotional, draining experience for me. And I just went out to California, where we had a home out there, and started reflecting on what I wanted to do in my next life.
Wow.
And I started to do some entrepreneurial things and getting involved with board activity. And I really liked being on the corporate boards. And so that's what I did. I got involved with some entrepreneurial activities and served on corporate boards.
I'm glad you said corporate. I thought maybe you meant surf. I wasn't sure. You said you went to California and got some board activity. I've had that thought myself a few times.
Beach babies.
The book is called "And You Thought Accountants Were Boring: My Life Inside Arthur Andersen." It is our guest's memoir. It details the U.S. government's unjust persecution of a company known for maintaining the highest standards, that company being Arthur Andersen. And so the takedown of Arthur Andersen and the closeness to the time when you retired, did it affect your pension?
Yes, it did. I lost all my capital and retirement benefits.
Everything? Holy
Everything
cow.
Except what I saved on my own.
Holy mackerel.
We used to have a Zales jewelry store here in Ocala years and years ago, and I frequented that store, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. And your book really brought to light what happened to that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my book described an IRS investigation of Zale, but that would not have anything to do with closing the store.
Oh, I see.
Subsequent to that, the Zale sold out, and with the new owners, they would have probably, and they went into bankruptcy with the new owners, and so that's why they probably closed the store.
Oh, okay.
Is it too late to go to court and maybe get back some of the because it sounds like the money was stolen. It's what it sounds like. Is there a way to go back to court on this?
No, you can't sue the government.
Wow.
They took us down and indicted us on accusations that proved to be not true.
Oh.
The Supreme Court overruled the case 9-0, and it was one of the quickest decisions ever made by the Supreme Court.
Overruled it.
Overruled it, right.
Oh.
So are you bitter?
No, life goes on. You can't live a bitter life. I will never forget it, and went through some very difficult, trying times. But if I start to think about what I would have had or what I lost, that's all it's going to do is get me down, and it does no good.
But you know,
So you got to look forward and positive and live your life.
And so many times you have like financial advisors will tell you, do this. This is guaranteed. Do that. It's going to set you up. 40 years from now when you retire, you're going to be in a good place, right? Not necessarily true.
Yeah, you can't predict the future. Things happen beyond your control.
Fortunately, the bank that you put your money in didn't collapse, but that could happen too. I mean, that was the Depression, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Fortunately, I saved money during my working years, and we had a 401k type plan, and so all my personal savings were protected.
How can a person living today protect themselves from something like that happening? Because most of the people that we know, they give their heart and soul to a business, even though they're technically not the boss. They might be the general operating manager, and they're there all the time. They give their heart and soul. It technically is their business, but then sometimes this might happen. Can they protect themselves financially? Is there any kind of repercussion they can have on their side?
Well, our employees' retirement plans, those were all protected, and we paid all the employees their retirement plan. The partners are the ones that lost their retirement plan. But I think the message to be learned from my book is to beware the power of government. And when the government comes in and tries to accuse you of something, you better make sure you get good professional help behind you. And in my case, I had we had some great attorneys, and they still didn't help us survive.
Wow. What do you do? You have good attorney. Oh my goodness. So is note keeping essential? I mean, just making sure everything. Maybe you would it have been better if you never shredded the documents that you mentioned earlier?
Well, then, the government wouldn't accuse us of defrauding themselves if we didn't shred it. But every accounting firm would do the same thing. It's a policy of anyone. In fact, your attorneys would tell you to do that. Don't keep any drafts or notes or incidental things, because as you do an audit, things change, and you just want to have the support that confirms your conclusions, and anything else that's not directly related to the audit should be discarded.
In addition to us learning what you went through, we take from this book also some lessons. You've left a trail, so to speak, so that we can better, perhaps, I guess, understand what we should be doing, what we should not be doing, and definitely who we shouldn't be trusting. And my goodness, we do that all the time? We trust the government, don't we?
I'm afraid so.
Yeah.
Yes, my book had 15 lessons learned from my experiences in life, and hopefully that could be beneficial to people that are coming up in their careers and can learn from my experiences.
When you were auditing retail companies, what was one of the most fascinating things that you found about them? You mentioned JCPenney in your book, and they're one of the largest, I think.
Yes, I served almost all the large retailers in some capacity. The most interesting experiences I think I had was with May department stores, because they were very active, and in fact, at one point in time, they were probably vulnerable from an acquisition. And instead, they took the offense and acquired a company that was even larger than them. And just going through that process and helping them was very rewarding.
And have you been aware of companies that really should be taken down, that really are doing things illegal, that for one reason or another, maybe they've got somebody in the government has a brother in there and they don't touch them?
I served a lot of clients during my career, Larry, and I'm not aware of anybody that has done anything unethical or that could be taken down for anything that they've done.
Oh, wow.
You traveled around the world. One of the places you visited was Australia. How did they welcome you with open arms when you were there?
Yes, Australian people are just wonderful, and I enjoyed that experience. I was transferred down to Australia to work on one of the largest retailing companies in the Southern Hemisphere, and the people there were just marvelous, and I've kept in contact with them throughout the years, and it was a very interesting experience.
So is ultimately the corrupt organization the government itself?
I wouldn't say they're corrupt. I would say that some of their actions could be questioned, and some of the things they do not make logical sense. And look at what we're going through right now.
Yeah, and just by the way, this was 12 years ago, so we're not even talking about the current president for sure. Some of the Congress is there now that was there then, and. The notes that I have before we wrap it up, Larry, it says that you have 15 lessons learned from your career. Are they in the book, or is that part of the notes for the interview?
No, they're in the book, and at the end of the book, I give them the 15 lessons learned.
This would be a most excellent book for students to read that are taking economics and government, because you really are able to bring both sides of the equation together.
Yeah, I think it's. I wrote it so it would be broad-based, and it's non-technical. It doesn't. You don't have to be an accountant to read it or enjoy it. And I thought that there's a wide audience there. There could be other people and other accounting firms that would be interested in it. I think there would be people that were on boards of companies that deal with the auditors would be interested in it. I think people that are just like reading about relationships and learning about quadruplets and the issues of that and balance of life, they would be interested in it. It's just a wide audience that I think the book was written for.
It is not stuffy, and there is some levity in there. It's very, very well done. Very, very wonderful read.
So I'm gonna count down from 15 to 1 the 15 lessons that he has in the book. I won't read each paragraph. I'll just read the heading.
Okay.
Number 15, in crisis, stay positive and focused. Number 14, in times of crisis, you find out who your friends are, your real friends. Number 13, good teams are more effective than individual stars.
Yeah.
Really true, right? Number 12, I love this one. Celebrate success. Yeah. We'll get a beer. Number 11, don't just complain. Take ownership of the problem. I love that one. Number 10, courage of your convictions without persistence produces little result. What's that beeping?
Oh, I don't know.
Number 9, hold on. Let me get rid of that beeping sound here. Number 9, a common culture is the glue that holds the organization together. That makes sense. A leader in the office should always be a leader in the community is number 8. You got to think about that one. Number 7, learning never ends.
Yeah, that is true.
Amen.
Number 6, should be number 1. Beware of the power of the government.
Yes.
Number 5, expertise and creativity create value.
Mm-hmm.
That works in our circumstance here. Come on, you're calling too early, whoever you are. Okay.
Yes.
Number 4, increases in responsibility come with personal sacrifice. That's true. Number 3, be persistent. Number 2, listen to your heart. Number 1, do the right thing.
I love that. That's the best
that
one.
is
Do the right thing. You have to have a conscience.
Is that Jeff Dillon out there?
That would be Jeff, yes.
What happened to your hair, Jeff? I have a copy of the book, Larry Katzen's book. It's called And You Thought Accountants Were Boring, My Life Inside Arthur Andersen. If you would like the copy that I have, call and you can have it. The number is 622-9622. Larry, do you have a website you want to tell us about?
Yes, it's LarryRKatzen.com, and you can order my book there, or you could go on Amazon and order the book there.
Okay, and let me give this one away. Good morning, the book is yours. Who's this?
This is Mark.
Mark. Okay, Mark, do you know where we are?
Yes, sir. You're in the mall now. Is that correct?
We are in the mall, right outside of the food court. Remember, we're outside the food court. Don't go into the mall because we're before you get into the door. Okay?
Yes, very good. I've got a niece that was a CPA for Price Waterhouse and now works for Toyota. I thought I'd make a nice Christmas present for her.
There you go. There you go. Well, you got it. It's going to be waiting for you here at the studio. What's the first letter of your last name, Mark?
F.
F. Okay. All right. We got it. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Larry.
All right. And Larry, namesake. Hey, my name, Larry Katzen. Thank you so much for being on the air with us and for enlightening us to something I think we already had a hunch about, but you kind of gave us more meat to chew on.
Well, Larry and Robin, I enjoyed it very much.
All right. We will take a little break. Be right back.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. This is Kelly Hart, your new host of the Ocala Magazine radio show. Join me every Friday at 10 a.m. when we bring the pages of Ocala Magazine to life with in-depth interviews from and about your community. So don't miss Marion County's favorite city magazine, Ocala Magazine, every Friday at 10 a.m. right here on 1370 AM and 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Stay informed on everything going on in the villages with the Village Spectator newspaper. The Village Spectator is exclusively devoted to the villages with news, commentary, and more. And yes, they have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 804-1223 and pick up your copy of the Village Spectator today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Legally Yours, brought to you by Fuller & Fuller Attorneys at Law. On the air every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. with John Fuller, a board-certified civil trial lawyer for over 25 years. John welcomes your questions, from business to complex family matters to legal disputes. So tune in every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. for Legally Yours with John Fuller, right here on WOCA 1370 AM and 96.3 FM, The Source.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front-end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing.
Here are today's headlines from The Source, WOCA. Ocala voters chose to replace Susie Heinbachel with Brent Malever on the Ocala City Council District 1 seat yesterday. Malever took 56.15% of the vote in that race. In the run for the City Council District 3 seat, incumbent Jay Musla defeated challenger Aaron Fine with 78.7% of the vote. The amendment to the city charter that would have eliminated runoff elections for special elections was rejected by voters. In all, voters rejected 3 of the measures and approved 2 of them. The amendment to delete the Downtown Development Commission passed by a vote of 1,610 to 1,531. The voters rejected the charter change that would delete the extension of corporate limits, ordinances in general, and city public affairs officer by a vote of 1,569 to 1,485. And the amendment concerning the police chief and duties and power of the mayor also went down in defeat by a vote of 1,618 to 1,517. And the Fifth Amendment to delete obsolete provisions regarding the Planning Director, Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Board of Adjustment was approved by a vote of 1,580 to 1,548. Only 10.45% of the registered city voters turned out to cast their votes yesterday. The Ocala Police Department is reporting that they are looking for a man believed to be responsible for robbing 2 banks yesterday. The man, described as a black male, standing about 6 feet tall, weighing about 200 pounds, wearing a long-sleeved gray shirt, dark jeans, eyeglasses, and a black bushy wig, entered the Compass Bank by Walmart at 2620 Southwest 19th Avenue Road just after 12:30 p.m. yesterday and handed the teller a note demanding money. No weapon was displayed, but he implied that he had a weapon. He received the money and fled the bank. Authorities say as the robber fled, a dye pack exploded. He dropped it and some of the money on a sidewalk just south of the front doors of the bank. Police and a K-9 named Kylo began searching for the suspect. A Marion County Sheriff's Office K-9 team then joined in on the search. No one was hurt during the robbery. About an hour later, a man entered the Center State Bank at 114 West Belt Avenue in Bushnell. He was wearing similar clothing as the man seen on surveillance video from the bank in Ocala. He also handed a teller a note implying that he had a weapon and demanding money. Anyone with information can call the Ocala Police Department at 369-7000, the crime line at 369-7061, or Crime Stoppers at 368-STOP, or by visiting ocalacrimestoppers.com. The State Board of Education voted yesterday to extend a policy preventing schools from dropping by more than a letter grade on their state-issued report cards through the 2014-2015 school year, despite the complaints of some board members. The board voted 4-2 to continue the policy, which was first used in the report cards issued following the 2011-2012 school year and continued this year as superintendents said a slew of changes to Florida's accountability system made it hard to tell what was causing unusual drops in school grades. Grainy surveillance video on TV showing 2 youths leaving the scene of a fire was not too fuzzy for one set of parents to recognize.